This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I represent Bahamian people. I from Nassau, Bahamas, big up Bintan, bro. Boy, I from Bintan, bro. Right between West and Augusta, where them two roads meet, they call it Wilkinson Street. Manners and respect was like a sign blank check. It seems the ones that coming after quick to disrespect. You see, this life in the ghetto never easy. So many hungry days break till it grieve me. But I doing the best I can, trying to turn my dollar to 100 grand. I represent the ghetto people. I from Nassau, Bahamas, big up Bintan, bro. Boy, I from Bintan, bro. Ghetto. Don't take no back talk, no bribe or no joke. If you find fire, you definitely find smoke. Bintan, bro. Boy, I from Bintan, bro. Bintan, I say up and running. Caliban say my show boy don't ever give in. 7 years of farm and watch the crops them coming. True they see a young will think the lion sleeping. But they ain't for no reason. Only God that I believe in, living. Watch them only passion for a season. Cutlass, I gon' weed them. I represent the ghetto people. I from Nassau, Bahamas, big up Bintan, bro. Boy, I from Bintan, bro. Don't take no back talk, no bribe or no joke. If you find fire, you definitely find smoke. Bintan, bro. Boy, I from Bintan, bro. Ah, my son, that boy, what happened? Huh? Straight to the Bintan, boy, from Bintan. Where you using me, even? Again? I represent Bahamian people. I from Nassau, Bahamas, big up Bintan, bro. Boy, I from Bintan, bro. Don't take no back talk, no bribe or no joke. If you find fire, you definitely find smoke. Bintan.
Good night, Bahamas, and welcome to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. I am your host, Valentino Brown, a.k.a. Scoot Your Scrooge. Telephone numbers tonight on Guardian Radio are 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Tonight, we're going to have a wonderful show on the local talk show Inside the Inner City that premieres every Friday at 6:30 to 8 p.m. right here on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. I just want to say to Guardian Radio, over the course of the years that I've been here, the show has been very meaningful and educational for a lot of people in the country as I travel through the community and around the country. And many people say they get a lot of information from the show, a lot of ideas from the show, and it's very helpful to try and push, their life further. And I just take this opportunity. I'm glad that I had the opportunity to really make a difference in the country. And for all those who take the time to listen, I really appreciate you guys. Today on Inside the Inner City, we're going to talk about a little bit about the crime. We're going to talk about the effects of crime and maybe what we can do to slow down the process of crime. And in particular, we just recently had a shooting on a Camp Road public park, and a young life was lost. But at the same time, 4 other young men were charged with his murder and their age range anywhere from 15, 16, and 17. They were brought before the court, I think, a few days, yesterday. They got remanded to the Simpson pen for boys because, they're juveniles and they have to go before the juvenile panel. And then I guess, I don't know if they're going to be tried as adult or whatever the situation is going to be. But nevertheless, it's a sad situation in our country. And not only that, if we look at the stabbing incidents that happen at our public school, let me just read a little bit about it. All right. So we have pupils stabbed. 2 students were stabbed during an altercation at A.F. Adley Junior High School. Superintendent Orly Peters stated yesterday. But the good thing about it is that no one lost their lives, and those who were injured were taken to the hospital where they were attended to. Ask yourself a question. Why is it that a 13-year-old on a public park, right? The parks, they're public and they're not monitored. Over the course of my time being a community activist and any opportunity I have to express myself to the powers to be on certain circumstances concerning these type of situation in the city community, I always would try to find ways on how we can counteract the illegal activities that happen on these public parks. The reason these public parks are not doing what they're supposed to us to educate, us to be a place of green space and where the community could come and get together and have fun, is because leadership is so lacking in this country now, all across the board, especially in the inner city communities. These kids, when they go in the park, they're 13, they're 10, they're 9, they're 8. And the only thing they're seeing is what around their environment. So it's like what's going on in the States. United States of America has over 200 plus mass shootings. So when you look at that, and all are like copycat, it's like it all started off with Bonnie and Clyde. Now the American public has followed that same copycat, just like serial killers. So what I'm saying to you is, in the United States of America, you're going to continue to have mass shooting now because it's a part of their culture now. Most people would go in the schools and churches and just kill people randomly. Some for racial, some is not racial, some is just people who are religious ideology, and if their ideology don't meet your ideology, they take it upon themselves to say that, their God and their Jesus told them to do this, and they would go and do heinous crimes. But you're seeing a random repeat of this in the U.S., where we have a lot of mass shooting. Schools, we just saw where the little kids got killed from the next kid in the school. 8, 9, all kind of people getting shot. So our kids, without leadership, without community leaders, without the church leaders, they are prone to become a part of the community that is less productive because there are no leaders on these parks. So I always said to myself, when I have the opportunity to speak to the leaders, when I have a chance to go to the office of the Prime Minister and me meeting on community programs that could be beneficial. I always said that we need to put security guards on the park. We need to fence the park. We need to man the parks. We need to have trainers and instructors on these parks for a certain amount of time. Then we log these parks, and then we let these kids go home. You can't just let kids go on public parks nowadays, especially without community leaders or no positive activity going on in this community. You just can't. You know, they're just kids just doing what they want. So ask yourself this question. A 13-year-old probably got in an argument. They started gambling, and first of all, gambling. And some other 14, 15, 16, 7, 4, let me see what the age is. 14, 15, 16, you know, had an altercation. And they went and get a gun. And they decide to pass the gun on to one another. And they shoot a 13-year-old. Now, ask yourself a question. Where could young teenagers like that get a firearm from? How could they be living in this community at this age and have a firearm and know that, hey, my first action is going to be if anyone messes with me, this could be an older gentleman. As we can see, that was a 13-year-old. It could be anybody. So if you cross these kids, and wherever they get these guns from, they're going to use it out of frustration because they go from 0 to 100. And that's what we've seen happening all around the country. And I would like to say this to the guys on the inner city community who have these firearms and who live in these communities. You have to be more open-minded to understand that you're destroying your community and your country. You know, if these teenagers have a brother or uncle or a father who is doing illegal activities, right? These kids are seeing that. And they're going to their uncles or their cousins or whoever it is they know who live in the community. Can be someone who, you know, who just known for illegal substance or illegal firearm, and they would hang. I want to say this to the guys. Be more careful. The kids' firearm, because they're going to make a bad decision. And now look, 3 days later, they're before the court. So does it make any sense for you to go there and get a gun, shoot the next young Bahamian? Now you, before the court, looking at getting life sentence. So we lost 5 lives. One is going to be going to his grave. The next 4 is going before the court. And whatever the outcome is going to be, their life is never going to be the same again. The young gentleman who got killed, 13-year-old, his life is already gone. His parents will always have pain in their heart. And I know how it feels. And I always say this is going to keep on happening. There's so much Bahamians are going to be hurt because of violent crimes in our country. You know, it's just adding on. Every day you listen to the news, someone is getting killed, and you see the expression of the mothers or the fathers come on the TV and radio and talk about the pain that they're going through and the suffering at night because they have lost their loved one. And there's a lot of hate building up in our country, you know. And I want to say this to the guys, you know, I know you're doing your illegal activities, but for those who are in the gun sale business, you need to slow down, or you need to stop what you're doing because you're destroying the country. And one day you can't control this, okay? I was involved in gangs and etc., selling drugs. But that didn't exclude me from becoming I've had numerous family members killed, even being a top gangster I had numerous of my family members killed, not because of me. It's just because of how society was. So I could have been the baddest man in the country. That don't mean someone's not going to take a shot at my sister or brother, because people really don't care who you are nowadays unless you respected in the community. You know? So I want to say to the guys out there, you know, I know you got to make a living because, you know, there's high unemployment in the country, but we're destroying our country. You know, you can't be giving guys guns to go kill other young Bahamians. That's not going to happen in our country. As far as the guns, how could these 14, 15, and 16-year-olds get guns? And they live in this community. So it tells you about the decay in the community. Yeah, boy. Then we look at the stabbing in the school. You're supposed to go to school to get education so that you can make something of yourself. And yet still they go to school to try and kill one another. You know, I always say that we're going to continue to have students, you know, get killed, either from knife or altercation at school. We have seen it over the course, over the years. And they're no different than the same 4 young men who get charged before the court for taking the life of 13-year-old Mr. McKenzie. Is that every part of the country, if it's in Bain, it's in Mason Addition, it's in Camp Road, we have problems just like we have problems. The same type of problem we have with the 4 kids, same problem we have with the 2 kids in school, and many other kids. There are hundreds of kids who have this problem right in our country. And we're going to have to address it. And I want y'all to pay close attention of the age I'm talking about. That's why it's so serious. 13-year-old killed by 14, 15, and 16-year-old. I want to show you, and I want you to listen closely. Here's my analysis. Watch the age of 13. 13-year-old get killed, all right? So, Ali, could you play the flick for me, please? I want you guys to listen, and I want to just tell you about 13.
I described him as a monster when he came out. What I saw, scary. That was who anybody want around them.
That's the frank assessment of 58-year-old Ronald Scott. His brother, 55-year-old Alden Scott, was released from prison on Friday, with officials announcing his status as a registered sex offender. According to the older brother, the 55-year-old died in hospital this morning after he was found bleeding from the nose through a dirt road. He wasn't sure what his exact cause of death was.
Automatically, he knew that was going to be a death sentence for him. I'm not saying that he was no saint, right? But that's being judge, jury, and executioner to him. That's my opinion on that. Because you know for sure you're going to stir up the public. You know, saying, but he's not the only criminal. There's plenty of sex offenders out there who have done worse crimes than him or as bad crimes as him.
Scott, who lives in Grand Bahama, tells me that his brother was expelled from school at the age of 10 for stabbing a teacher with a protractor from a geometry set. He says their father then asked him what he planned to do with his life now that his schooling days were done at just the age of 10. The older brother says that was too young an age to neglect him.
But he was removed from school, and I don't think he got much support from our parents because he was pretty much left to just roam the streets by himself. They didn't try to get him back in school. They didn't do anything basically for him. He just ended up on his own from the age of 10.
I spoke to Scott, a mechanic with 6 children, over Zoom. He tells me that at 13, his brother wound up on the maximum security wing of the prison as part of a group of charged with murder and armed robbery. It was just one of many stints he had behind bars.
I can imagine how much time they must have raped him when he was only 13 years old. If you don't turn into a beast, then you get eaten by the system.
Members of the public have called on government to do more to ensure that perpetrators of sex crimes are punished for their acts. The enforcement of a sex offenders registry, which Scott was on, has been hailed as a step in the right direction. The 55-year-old last went to prison after he admitted to indecently assaulting a 9-year-old girl. Prior to that, he served 6 years for raping a 17-year-old girl. And while he refers to his brother as a monster, the older Scott brother doesn't think he bears the full blame.
He was a very bad person. I'm not here to try and goody tissue him to try to make it look as if like he was some innocent person. He was not innocent. He did some horrible things, some horrible people, and for that, I empathize with them. But I don't think that his life had to turn out that way.
Reporting for the Guardian News Network, I'm Jared Higgs.
Thank you, Ali Roll. Now, from the inception of this show, you heard me talk about hardened criminals at the age of 13 getting put in prison. Now, before they're 13, they live in the community. I don't know, it could be Camp Road, it could be Angliston, it could be Baintown, it could be the Family Island, it doesn't matter, right? So what happens before they get 13? They live in this community. And first, let me just talk about us. I would say to parents and fathers, you have to do more to try and steer your children in the right direction. First, take responsibility because, I walk around the streets and sometimes I see mothers sitting down drinking with their young daughters or smoking marijuana joint with their daughters, or fathers sitting down in a house or drinking with their sons. Your children is not your friend. So you don't spoil the child and they ain't got no respect for you. You understand? How could you be sitting down, right? Telling your child that drinking is wrong and smoking is wrong and etc. because you know that the brains is not fully developed until the age of 21, right? So if you have a teenage son still in school, the marijuana, then you allow them to become a part of the streets. And these streets would eat you. And to mothers, you can't be sitting on and drinking with your daughters, all right? Because when rows start, your daughter believes she is more woman than you. So it starts for us. Yes, there's a lot of poverty happening in the country. But it's time many of us take responsibility and see the destruction what we're doing if we don't step up and be leaders. Not only on the community aspect, I'm talking about being leaders in the house. And I know that poverty, and tough times and unemployment right now is just a lot of stress on thousands and thousands and thousands of babies in this country. But at the end of the day, there are some things we can do to bring change. And things we can do is understand the fact that our children, who we bring in this world, they are our responsibility. The first thing you need to do, you need to plan. Because I want to say this to Bahamian people in this country. I really feel that our biggest problem is that we don't have a plan. Like, what we want to do. Yes, we go to school. We want to work. We might want to start a small businesses. But are we planning that, hey, when we have a child, what are the responsibilities that I'm going to have to do to make sure my child achieve the best education and the best life that I can offer? But it seems to me that we are just having sex, just finding a girlfriend. We break up with one woman, or one woman break up with us, and we just go on our life, and then we see a next lady or we see a next man, and we get in a relationship, and we're not planning, and we just have a next child, and then we break up with that person. Then we go and we don't speak to that person no more. So that child got to grow up with not a father figure on a constant basis who's going to be there to lecture him and tell him what's right and what's wrong. The relationship is going to deteriorate where the father is not going to have that communication with his child, and the child is going to reject the father. And because of that, that's why so many of the young men now, their fathers can't even talk to them. I've seen sons talk to their daddy so bad. I've seen daughters talk to their mothers about their underneath. Daughters who the mother bring with their wombs tell their mother, but they're underneath. All right? I've seen sons fighting with their fathers. All right? And I have to intervene. It's crazy out here because we have fallen short with the family structure. Many mothers and fathers, aunties and uncles have become friends with their children, and they're not setting no examples. Those 13-year-old, that 13-year-old who won the park at that time, do you think he's supposed to be out at the age of 13? Those 14, 15, 16, 17 who charged before the court, do you think they're supposed to be out late at night? Don't they supposed to have a time to be inside because they get school? We don't check no more. We just go to work, we give the kids what they want, and then we expect for them to turn out the best way, possible. It's crazy. We have to take responsibility. Your child is not your friend. Mother shouldn't be sitting on smoking and drinking with their daughters. If anything, you hide from your daughters because you don't want your daughter. You want your daughter to turn out to be the best that she can be, and your sons to turn out the best they can be. But as it stands now, we look like we're completely corrupted. We have a call? Go ahead, caller. You're on Inside the Inner City.
Hey, good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
I'm fine.
Yeah, I've been kind of busy, but this is the time when the daylight saving is large in the afternoon that I'm able to tune into you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
I was busy in the week, missing out on these murders, the little ones, the young ones, killing the young ones.
Yes.
I called in because there was a thought came to my mind to get on the ball to work with you. Remember when I used to walk and ride bicycle, I used to come and look for you.
Yes, sir.
And now that I'm driving again, I need to make more time to come and look for you.
Yes, sir.
The plan I want to find out from you is how we can maybe work on a few at a time. That's 1 or 2 or 3 at a time, because it looks like there's so many cases around that it's hard to try to work with them all together. But if we can work with a couple of them, it'll be a step in the right direction. I have a concern, as you mentioned, about parents being like their friends to their children too much, so like equals.
That's right.
I know of situations where boys will go to the barbershop every morning or very frequently in the week just to shape up to go to school, maybe spend a little $3, $4, $5, $7, whatever it is, but they won't pick up a book from the time they left class the day before.
Yes.
But they will go in the morning to the barbershop and sharp and look nice and sharp. Nothing wrong with looking good and sharp, but the most sharper thing is to get your education in place.
Yes, sir.
And so if we can maybe work with a few, and let me know how we can work it out. I know I am available on Friday afternoon and perhaps, but there's the same time you have your program, but between maybe the hours of 4 and 6 or whatever it is before your show comes on, if we can work with some of these children and see if we can get it on.
Yes, it's no problem. The center is almost getting ready to start, and we're looking at the state-of-the-art community center. So persons like yourself, teacher, is needed most important in our country, and definitely we can't wait to get it because we have a space on Friday all about my soon-to-be restaurant where we could grab a couple of young men in the community and young girls in the community, and we could steer them in the right direction. And we have some resources coming in also. So, teacher, no problem. And we all on board on this one, yes, sir.
Okie dokie.
Yes.
I will drop you a line as a reminder,
Yes, sir.
And you also need to remind me too, because times can get so busy.
Yes, sir.
But they have a full summer ahead of them, and we'll need to get them really engaged.
Yes, sir.
And see if we can turn the tide.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Yes, sir. You too. Yeah, we need people like teacher, because they really want to give back. We have a next call. Go ahead, caller. You're on Inside the Inner City.
Oh, godly day to this dark and white, along with you, Scourge.
Hey, good day.
Scourge, I listen to you, and let me show you. You hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what you said is exactly what's happening. But basically the problem is, let me show you something. When I was growing up, right? When we was growing up around here in Mason's, McCulloch Mason's Edition, our The longest we could be out in the evening is till 8 o'clock. We had a bakery on East Street, right? Right by next door, about 2 doors from Arches gas station, Bell Ground Corner. And our old lady, an old man, would send us there on weekends, to buy sweets. And that used to close 8 o'clock. My old lady used to say, be back before that closed, okay? The thing is today, we don't have any morals. What I mean is the parents today, the majority of them, doesn't have any morals. I told Wooler now, I'm the charter member of the Saxon Superstar. I told Wooler, let's start practice early so the little children would be home in time to go to school next morning, right?
Yes, sir.
The thing is, he don't want to do that. He going to start practice around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Youngsters still out there. You got to set the example, and most Junkanoo group that I know does that. You got to set example. You got to cut the right road. You see what I'm saying? When you're not cutting the right road, you don't expect for decency to come out of the youngsters. And it bugs me because he doesn't do that. It's just sick in this country, man. Nobody is set. Hardly anybody is setting the right example. I'm speaking of from the top to the bottom. And something got to give. Somebody got to do something. This country need a turnaround, man.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. And, community policing is so important right now. I don't know how it's possible onto the Royal Bahamas Police Force. I know that the Bahamas is a democracy country and we have rights, and we have to respect the Constitution. But at the same time, how could police officers see young kids on the side of the road? I know it's not the officer's responsibility, but at the same time, they're not grown-ups. So I don't know if the Minister of National Security could look at this and put this as part of the agenda and part of the program. Any kid under the age or still in high school should not be allowed to be out after 8:30, 9 o'clock in this country. If the police pass in any one of these inner city communities on the parks and et cetera, and they see kids playing basketball and it's past their bad time, the police need to send them home. All right? They need to send them home. Because these kids now is be on the streets till around 11, 12 o'clock. And I see a lot of patrol cars pass and just leave them standing there. And they have school in the morning. So these kids then become man and woman. The conversation they have in the streets, it's crazy. Because there are no more grown-ups hanging on the streets no more. It's crazy. We're going to take this next call. It's crazy. Go ahead, caller. You're on Inside in the City.
Yeah, good evening, Scrooge. How you doing, man?
I'm fine.
Scrooge, let me and you be real, Let's keep it real, right? Now, what percentage of the youth you think in the inner city to smoke marijuana? More than half?
More than half, man.
All right. So, would you believe that it could be the same thing in the middle class areas or in the let's say in the high schools and the private schools?
What you mean?
All right. Okay now. So come on now. When you have a marijuana joint, right? When you see a police, what are you gonna do?
You cuff it.
Huh?
Cuff it.
Right. You can cuff it or you can eat it.
Right.
Some of them are running on it.
Yes.
Right, and you know, right, that these, in other words, these youths, them, right, they know the police can stop them and check them, right?
Yes, sir.
And the police ain't gonna handle them in no decent way, right? You agree with that?
I listen to you.
So these youths them know the police, these know, and then when they get locked up and go in the cell, right? They get the corrupt police who gonna keep their money for them to carry them down to jail and their contraband and the like and thing, and you understand what I'm saying? the ones who got the money or got someone outside the gate, the police, the corrupt police can wait for them. You understand me? So, and then you got the drug dealer out there. They waiting for the police. Some of them selling the drug for the police. Let's be real with this thing. Nah. Right?
I ain't talking about the drugs, I talking about the attitude of the parents and the kids. I ain't pointing the front of the police now.
See, these youths them know the system is corrupt. You understand me? Now, the thing with the parents, right? Come on now. Every poor parent ain't the same. You got some poor parents who can drink with their kids. Now, a parent who's smoking with a child under the age, they just don't know no better. They ain't never, you understand what I'm saying? They know the effects of that drug to the brain of that child. Right? And then you have the rich kids, the rich parents, they ain't drinking with ain't nobody gonna give no young child no rum.
They have their children disciplined.
What I'm saying is when them kids get up here, they will drink with them.
Of course, that's how it's supposed to be.
Right. So and when a child go then drink, see when a child, every poor child parent go and drink rum with their kid, not a kid underage. You understand me?
Yeah.
And see, they one-offs. You understand me? And see, you know what I don't like? I don't like when people in the media try to be blind to the poverty in the city, and every time, you know what happens? Every time a child gets shot or someone gets shot, they blame everything on the poor youth. They farm and the units and the like. You see, that ain't right. You remember just in the news today, right? Our Prime Minister, he's off begging these international organizations for money because of climate change. Well, he's saying that we're not making the pollution the cause of climate change, but then we having these bills and things, you know what I mean? Because of the hurricane, right?
Yeah.
Now when the poor people got issues, the poor people need a livable wage, right? They need proper health care, right? Some of them need public housing. But when his poor people ask for them things, the people in the media, the intelligent people or civil Bahamas, they can say, well, the Haitian don't need it. The Haitian could do this without and live without it. Come on, man. How could you go and the world beg for money to save you, little country, but the poor man in your country is like, you ain't checking for them. Come on, man. You know poverty is a thing, right? Hello?
I listen. You talking.
So see, let me show you. The killing don't happen in the rich neighborhood.
Killing happen everywhere, man.
Not like it is. Not like it is in the poor neighborhood.
Yeah, but killing happen everywhere now, man.
Yeah, but not in the Bahamas. You see anybody in out east and Vinton and thing shooting out and thing, and that thing don't happen, man. The Lord is on. They saying the poor people don't know how to live. The poor people don't know how to discipline themselves. The poor people don't know how to go to school and learn and the like. Come on, we gotta do for our poor people, man. You understand me? We gotta do for our poor people. You see? And the thing what I don't like too, right? They like to put the Haitian on the poor beam. So the Haitian could do this, the Haitian could thrive and thing. But they fail to realize that the Haitian is the one who running the coke. Or the foreign Jamaican is the one who running the herd. These people in the jailhouse, the Haitian criminal, he like the boss. I read it wrong, bro.
No, you speak it. You speak it. I can't comment on what you saying. You speak it.
Come on, that's why I want you to keep it real. See, you the man.
Don't mind that.
You the man. You supposed to know.
I supposed to know, but I don't answer everything because I ain't stupid. You think I stupid? I ain't just born yesterday.
All right.
I ain't stupid.
So, you know what I want you to do? I don't want you to sell out them ghetto youths.
Sell out. Hey, hold on, bro. Listen. When you say that, don't never say that to me, my brother. Don't never say that to me. Don't sell out. No, you don't sell out. Listen to me. You don't see. I ain't no political operator for no PLP, no FNF, for nobody. No. Listen,
Just keep it real for them.
Listen, I used to realest person in this country, bro.
Yeah,
Because I
just
contribute.
keep it that way, bro.
But don't never say me. Switch for what particular reason? You have to have an audience in order to reach people so people come and help.
Yeah, but tell the youth them the truth, man.
Tell the youth the truth?
We ain't trying to condone no violence, right?
No.
But we trying to help these youth them not to be violent. We ain't want them to go out there and kill up one another and then we want them to unite. You know, these youth them need bro. These youth them need to organize themselves and get a union. Or, you know what I'm saying? You know, these youth them ain't no union. Because most of these youths ain't got no government job. You understand me?
These youths ain't got no leadership, bro. You expect for them to get a union when they ain't even thinking about getting a union?
You realize if you go around all in them inner city and you all the workers and you unionize them, then you could take their money and help them.
No.
They could pay you to help them, to support them, to represent them, you know.
Now you talking.
These are the things you need to be doing.
No, not the things you need to be doing. Why me? Hold on. No. See, that's the thing where we going wrong with you. This would encourage you to go make a difference. Not just me. Why me? Why you want me? I ain't Jesus Christ. I'm not Jesus Christ, bro. No, so don't try to put it on me. I doing the best I can and sacrifice.
But
you take the leadership. I know, but I know. We only talk, but
United, but I don't lotion and powder.
Neither me.
None of these people, you know.
No, neither me, man.
Hey, serious, bro. I ain't traveling that road with all them on, you know.
No. My road different, and your road different. You understand? So we all can make a difference.
Road many to travel. So anytime all of them agreeing with you, or you agreeing with them, all of them, something ain't right.
Hey, listen to me. I don't care who agree with me or who disagree with me, you know.
Right.
You don't get this. Listen to me. I don't care about all this popularity or who agree with me or who like me, who don't like me. I can care less. It look like I a person who give a crap who like me or who don't like me.
No.
I don't give a crap.
Yeah, they want you to stay real, man.
All right, I don't give a crap. That is not for me.
Real, you know?
Yeah, because see, I know what
all of you them is for you, man. You know, they'll unite and do right.
Yeah, man.
See, the poor people need help, bro.
Yeah.
You understand me? The poor people is the ones who need help, you know.
Yes.
The poor people, bro, them.
But
one more thing.
Go ahead.
You see that same independence? You know what that did to us?
Yeah, I know. They gave a two-party system.
We had majority rule, you know. Before independence, we had majority rule. You know what that did? That take away, our independence take away the responsibility of our colonial masters. You know, that left them. That take them off the hook.
You're right.
You understand me?
You're right.
Like you haven't known anything but take silent people.
Yeah.
Them take silent people, they what you call it? They got majority rule, you know.
Yeah.
But then they could go in England with their red passport. When they go to school, all the benefits with them British citizens out, they got.
Yes.
All the livable wage, all the health care and whatever.
Yes.
You understand me? But they still could do what they want with their land, you know.
Yeah.
Give their land, their crown land, to who they want, give them to. They govern themselves.
Yes.
You see? So and the only person the people who suffer from our independence is the poor people, you know.
Yeah, because we is fools. Listen why we is fools. I can go on this. Listen why. You just talk about this now. When we got so-called partially independence, right? You know what happened? We gone with a two-party system, which is the Free National Movement and the PLP, all right? In between there, we had the power once we became the first prime minister under Sir Lyndon Pinland, when he became prime minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. He had 25 years, and he did some great things in his first years. Then we had the next prime minister, Hubert Ingraham, then Perry Christie. Well, we had the power to do housing, to bring unemployment down, to create multi-millionaires all around and also in the city communities. But you know what we did? We enriched both the PLP and FNM, and we support them with our street captain. So we're the ones who messing things up right now. Us. We're the one who messing things up in this country. Because everyone, what's this?
Unite. The same thing with Lyndon Pinland did. The poor people got to unite and remember this them who, you understand,
yes.
Still out there suffering.
Yes. See, that's our problem. And that's why we in this position we in now. Because we make multi-millionaires in both the PLP and FNM.
Right.
And it passed on to their families and it passed on to the party members who get contracts. Instead of the people who get in the contract, and the government give you a contract, one nice contract to help yourself and help the community. These people who we call street captains or street generals, they take these monies and enrich themselves with it instead of go helping the community. A lot of these, see, the problem is we killing ourselves. We've been enriching both the PLP and the F&M. All of them is multi-millionaires. Go ahead.
You think the boss employer gonna want to give you a livable wage?
No.
And you don't want to do that?
I can tell you got to take it.
You got to demand that your government.
Yes.
You got to demand that your government put the legislation. You need the government to go judgment.
That's right.
Give nobody no money to put you on no bread line.
Yes.
They pay you when you wait.
Yeah, but thanks anyway.
Anyway, man. Thank you much, man.
No, my respect, man. I get a next call on the line. We're going to take this next call, and then I'm going to get back to the conversation. Go ahead, caller. You're on Inside the Inner City.
Hey, Scrooge, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Man, listen, very powerful conversation just now. And it's that conversation that really prompted me to call.
Okay.
You know, Scrooge,
yes, sir.
When you really look at the situation where we were, where we are today, you know, and you are so quite right, because you made reference to Sir Lyndon, and as far as independence is concerned, a lot of persons believe that this Bahamas is an independent nation. And you got to really look at that word independent in its truest context. The journey that Sir Lyndon started toward
independence,
hopefully bringing us to full independence. We are not fully independent.
He said that
he has given us the right to govern ourselves.
Right.
It was a process that he began,
right,
with the hope that we would have been liberated to the point,
right,
where we become fully independent, which means that we will grow our own food.
Yes.
We will take care of ourselves without really any outside help. We are not even nowhere near
that.
Near that. So let's be very realistic about that. And you talk about majority rule. I tried to saying this on the radio. The only time majority rule comes into play for the Bahamian people is when election time comes around.
That's right.
There's no majority rule outside of that.
You're right.
We have outsiders still governing our lives on a daily basis. You talk about empowering the Bahamian people. You can't even go to the bank and get a bank loan.
Yes, sir.
For a business, to open a business.
Yes, sir.
With the type of not capital, the type rates that they charge the average Bahamian, compared to the outside who comes to here, who could get a loan with 1% and 2% on their money, but yet we are still left here holding the bag. It's atrocious, man.
Yes.
The sad part about this whole reality is we live in a country that is wealthy. And, you know, I could see the vision that Sir Lyndon may have had and his first cabinet would have had for the Bahamian people, where today there should have been more millionaires out of the average working class in this country compared to what we have today. But what the wealthy has done in this country have become wealthy. Friends, family, and lovers have become wealthy, and they took the door and they slammed the door shut in front of our faces.
And they took it from the white man, and they had the power, and that's like you say, slammed the door in our faces.
All it is basically is the transference of that power from the white, what they call the white colonial slave masters, over to our brothers and sisters who are Uncle Toms in the house.
We call them
they took the power and now using it against their own people.
We call it
That's all we have today.
So we call those niggas say, what a movie with Samuel L. Jackson.
Okay.
Say, when he said the horse, who was the ugly guy?
So you know, in essence, what I'm saying Scroogey, is simply this.
Yes, sir.
You know, the power of the people is greater than the people in power.
Yes.
And until our Bahamian people realize to stop playing party politics.
Yes.
And realize that the power that they have in their hand can revolutionize this country, where the benefit, the prosperity benefits, the financial benefits of this country that the 1% enjoy, where the rest of us should also be enjoying.
Yes.
That will not happen. They will not give it to you unless you fight for it, even if it means that you have to die for it. You have to fight for it to get it out of their hands.
Yes.
So, Bahamians, I don't know who you're waiting for, the savior.
You're best to get it.
Ain't no political party
is
going to save you until the Bahamian people, who is the government. And this is the other part, Scrooge, in closing.
Go ahead, sir.
The Bahamian people is the government. The 38 sitting in the parliament are your representatives.
Yes.
You are the employer. Till we are able to recognize
I understand
that
that.
we must take that power from the employees as employers and tell them and demand from them what we want done in this country, that only then will true change come to this country.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
for taking my call.
Man, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Okay, we have the phone lines are lighting up, so I got to get some more calls in. Go ahead, caller. You're on Inside the Inner City.
Good evening.
Good evening.
What's going on, Schools, Brian?
All is good. All is good.
Yeah, give thanks. Yeah, man. Your boy Gardner representing, you know what I mean? Got to respect that. So, here's what I got to say. He's correct on the demographics of the murder in the inner city. You know, I'm socially diversified. I normally call, you know, I don't really need no one to agree with me because, you know, I'm being ridiculed, lambasted, casted, hated, whatever, right? You know what I mean? So, if you have a map of the Bahamas and you do the demographics, you will see that, you know, Scotia, man, you know, most of the shootings take place in the inner city, right?
Yeah, but you don't know what they say. Also this. A lot of those guys who doing the shooting come with them same rich neighborhood and coming in the inner city. That's what y'all don't know.
Yeah,
you know that, right?
Yeah, but that's what I was saying. That's what I don't know. Scotia, man, I can be 58.
I just trying to say.
I don't know. Listen to me. It's very little thing. Right. I don't know, but I know within myself, the beginning of knowledge is the acknowledgement of my own ignorance. Mm-hmm. That's why I like to read. Yes, so what I'm saying is, right, what Gardner is saying is true, because I just was talking about you and your program, what you're doing up there, right, Scoosy? And let me tell you something now. Just give me a minute here.
Go ahead.
I live in the inner city, brother.
Uh-huh.
And one day, you know, I was on the bicycle and I went to get something. I didn't cook. I going to get some crack from the place, right? And there was a ghetto youth, little youth, I don't know what he was, maybe around 12 or so, 13, 14, you know. And I saw him running, and he was running with such a speed, you know what I mean? I used to do track, you know. I ran under 11 seconds a couple of times.
All right.
In high school and against St. Anne's and Johnson into school. Now, I see the talent in the youth there. And so I asked, I'm talking to him because he come there to get something. I asked him if he do any sports. And he say, no. I say, why not? He say, man, my mommy, I forget how much children she say, and he had no uniform and something with lunch money and all these little different simple things why he ain't getting to school. And I look at this youth. And this is not the only person I see break off running in the ghetto. Like, I could see talent. And I saying, my man always was on this track and field club, because this is what other countries do, like Jamaica, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm saying? And so you have to be able to cite these talent, whether it's being ball. If I see a little youth, I'll encourage him in that paradigm. But we don't have the interest and the startup. And like the professor, I think that's Jeffrey. So I get them mixed up. Who called? And the investment in the inner city, right? But what I'm saying is, one of the things that I've learned, see, like I said, I can be a part of any program because I know about eugenics. And so if you teach the ghetto youth about eugenics, then like Gardner say, maybe we might stop killing one another, but you have to teach eugenics because you have to teach the racial hatred. See, Scoosy, they're afraid of my bookishness. I'm bookish, right? So let me share something about it. I don't get up and people talk about 52 is smart and knowledgeable. That breeds a sense of jealousy. 52 is not all about that. They don't understand me. When people see me, they say, man, this can't be you on the radio, look like this, you wearing this dreadlocks on top, yeah, you normal. See, people don't really get it, Scoosy. You pick up on what they're saying.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with Hubert Edwards last night, and he was saying I boastful and all that. But I kind of disagree with Mr. Edwards. I like conversating with Mr. Edwards. Very bright, and he's a witty person, and he thinks too. You see. But I let him know I think also. And so anyone who thinks that I'm boastful because I say I read this book and read that book, they're totally incorrect. And so a conversation with Dwight said, "What's my agenda?" Dwight know my agenda to bring out the truth to the beam and people and educate the people about the scientific literature that the CDC chief said that the public need to be educated on and to bring out the truth and not to surrender to this globalist agenda so they might get ready. Listen to me. This whole global construct about supply chain disruption, I call it corruption, right? These cascade of events. Listen to me. It's backfiring. Listen to me. I read the Epic Times.
Yeah.
So Epic Crimes. So I don't need any local sheep, educated or not, to try and dissuade me from where I think, what I know is going on, because I look at it in a global perspective, and I juxtapose in this, and I juxtapose in that. And so what I'm saying, Scoosy, because I'm bookish, they want me to just dumb down the conversation on the plantation. Because you have to bear with me, You feel what I'm saying, brother? I don't see these people. I'm a street youth too and a little educated, so they can't intimidate me unless they get rid of me. For what? What I doing so bad that I don't come on the radio? I never claimed to have a cure for anybody. All I doing is bringing out the truth that I learned from other people, and that I'm able to juxtapose because I'm well versed in the science, right?
Okay, then.
Yeah, I'm always down these rabbit holes. So what I'm saying is, it is backfiring on the West now, right? Because what happens now, Russia, China, and some of the East, they control a lot of resources. Like Russia alone, you could find silver gold, oil, timber, wheat. They have so what I'm saying is the West, this whole instigation of this war against Russia and this Ukraine construct, going against the Warsaw Pact, which was not to increase NATO membership, etc. It's a whole global paradigm that's being created that the sheep on the plantation don't understand. They just listen to a one-way paradigm.
Yeah, everything is connected.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is this is the supply chain disruption. This is all about inducing poverty. See, like people, and when people say it's not a conspiracy, they just make me so sick, Scoogy. Like I used to be wondering, like what they read, if they mind of being funny. Like they really think they're so educated, right? But listen to me. If 52 is a fool, why is it that he wasn't outsmarted by the scientists and the science?
Man,
because I learn and reading from other scientists who I know, and I just common sense can identify. I could just go read scientific history,
all right,
and just juxtapose this and juxtapose that. You know what I mean? And so the reason why you read these books is because you have to establish facts and truths. And so life is based on deception. So someone thought otherwise.
Yeah.
Coniferous plant, right?
Yeah, you could speed it up just a little bit.
Yeah, hold on. A coniferous plant.
Yeah, a couple
it's pretty on the outside because it wants the insects to land inside it.
Uh-huh.
Oh, so that's what life is based on. The same thing about wealth. They're sucking up wealth and inducing poverty for a reason.
Yeah.
So remember now, the only way to deal with the poor is to get rid of the poor for sure. All right? And so we have seen these experiments against the black race throughout history. We have seen Louis Farrakhan talk about the Tuskegee experiment and the forced sterilizations and Henry Kissinger National Security Study Memorandum 200 and 220. I knew about this from like 2000, Scoozy. So my mind is full of anger and hate of the global sheep on the plantation in ignorance, believe because they being away to college, they have all the knowledge, and they could subdue
I will get back to the topic.
And tell people how to think on the plantation.
Yeah.
Man, give me a break, please, man.
Hold on,
listen,
listen, hold on, bro.
Yeah.
I was talking about the 13-year-old, so I don't want to go off course. I'm trying to get this thing with this 13-year-old, this age 13-year-old, so...
Yeah, bless him, respect.
All right. You're making good sense, but like I said, all right. And I want you to listen to the interview when I talked about the guy who was released from prison, and they were going to post him as a sexual predator. And the government, under the Ministry of National Security, made it aware to the general public that they were going to put him on the sex register file and let the general public know. Now, after he was released, I want to show you the mindset of our citizens, right? After he was released, they said they found him unresponsive to a street, and then 5 days later, he died. Now, they can't figure out what he died from, so he's still going through an autopsy. Now, they released his information, and then a few days later, he was released. The information was released, and he was dead. So you know what that means? That means when any information gone out there, people got the information. Some young guys, I can't say if he got beat or etc., but the re-release, then for your information, your name to be put out there to the general public with your face. And then 5 days later, you were found unresponsive. It only seems to me until the autopsy is done, this is just my assumption, that some people, some young guys saw him, see him in the neighborhood, and they saw that he was a sexual predator, and they attacked him. They took the law into their own hands. And that's our society now. You know? And that's our society. We're going to take this last call. Go ahead, caller. You're on Inside Inner City.
Hi, hello.
Good night, good night.
I just wanted to comment and encourage you, young man. I listen to you sometimes, not all the time.
Thank you.
And just want to encourage you. It's not easy to come on and try to motivate the young people and talk about issues in this country.
Yes, ma'am.
But I don't know if you agree with me, but do you think that education is still the key for success?
Education is still the key, but not the education they're teaching right at this current moment. Business.
Not at the current moment.
If you're going to talk business.
But I'm saying,
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to say that education is still the key. We have to free ourselves from mental slavery, right?
Yes.
And not perpetuate it. I mean, the government can do a lot, but the government's responsibility is to provide opportunities for all its citizens.
Yes.
Now, we have a number of public schools. What that does is provide provide you with the opportunity to have education. Now, not everybody is academic. I understand that.
Yes, ma'am.
But we do have trade schools, BTVI, and I just want to encourage the youth. I don't care from which community you came from.
Yes, ma'am.
I came from 8 Mile Rock. I was born in 8 Mile Rock.
Yes, ma'am.
Saw the drug selling and all that. It's a mindset, and you have to want better for yourself.
Yes.
Right? Because people don't ask to be born into an environment they're here.
Yes.
And sometimes you have parents that don't, they do the best they can, but they can't take care of you like you should be taken care of.
Yes, ma'am.
But sometimes we have to, just be strong for ourselves and know that we have to help ourselves. Yeah. And what we do and how we do that is through education. It's not easy. We have a lot of persons out there that turn to criminality, right?
Yes.
And they're very smart with it. Can you imagine if they turn that into positive thinking?
Yes.
Right, to motivate themselves? It's not easy. I know that. And I know that there's a lot of corruption out there, and it's easy to fall to the negative side. But we have to want better for ourselves and not perpetuate mental slavery like Bob Marley said. We have to free ourselves.
Yes, free your mind.
Right? Yes, we can't keep going back to, history has a lot of atrocities in it. You can't. I think a lot of people, hold that, and it kind of perpetuates the mental slavery because you think that, you've been done wrong and you can't do any better, but you can.
Yes.
I just want to say that education is still the key, and what it does, it helps you to understand the what's going on in our society and enables you to speak up if you have education about something.
Yes.
You see? And so I just want to encourage you to continue.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Because I heard your story. I mean, it's admirable. Like I say, I come from the inner city like that, too. I went to public school. I'm a CPA now. I'm an accountant.
Oh, that's excellent.
And let me tell you something.
Hey.
Let me tell you something. It wasn't easy. You have to make a conscious decision to want better for your life. Whether your parents took care of you or not, it's their responsibility, mind you.
Yes.
But you have to rise above.
Yes.
And do it for yourself and speak up. And education will enable you to speak up and understand what is going on in this country, what you're entitled to, right?
Yes.
And what, as a human being, what you're entitled to, and you take advantage of that, and you do the best you can.
Yes, I agree.
Right? All right. Okay.
Thank you. You did very well. And yes, education is the key. And
it is.
And to add something on to that, you talked about a lot of kids is not going to be academically inclined. So you talk about the trades and BTVY and etc. See, these are the programs that we have to be really introduced to the inner city, to the private sector, to the schools and etc. for the kids them who are not academically inclined. Because if we give them trade and we teach them education.
And this is the purpose. You see, I went to public school for a bit. We had guidance counselors. I still think that they have them in school.
Yes.
You take advantage of that. If you're
Yes.
not academic, right? You as a man or woman, but you want to use your hand. You go. You talk to your guidance counselor. You talk to your teachers. Like, look, listen. I'm a CD student in math, English, but I am very good at I could fix car. I could grow something.
Yes.
I want to go that route.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
you go and you have to push though.
Yes.
We have to, as a society. I hear it a lot on the talk shows. It just seems like this sense of entitlement that things are going to drop. It's not going to drop.
It's not going to drop in your lap.
The savior is not. There's no knight on the white horse coming to save you. You have to take advantage of opportunities. I know people make it hard for you. That don't stop you.
Yes.
You're a citizen in this country, and there are a lot of opportunities out there. The MPs are there in your communities. They have community centers. You go and you speak to them, whether your parents go there or not. You go.
Yes.
You have to do it. People have to you have to push yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much. You did a wonderful job. Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
But you be encouraged. You go ahead and keep telling your story. That encourages, I'm sure, a lot of young men out there.
Yes.
Because it's a better life than killing each other.
Yes.
It's a better life than smoking drugs
Yes.
and doing all of that. It's a better life out there for you.
Yes. Yes. Thank you very
All
much.
right.
You did a wonderful job.
All right.
Wow. We had some nice callers tonight. Every one of the callers made some valid points. You taking a break? All of the callers have gave a great contribution here tonight on Guided Radio 96.9 FM. And there are a lot of people out there very concerned about the country. So please don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. on Inside the Inner City on Guardian Radio 96.9 after the break.
Right between West and Augusta.
Around the world, Cleveland Clinic is recognized as a leader in healthcare. Our team of experts relentlessly pursues the best for our patients. From groundbreaking cancer research to state-of-the-art heart surgery, life-saving innovations happen here every day. When it's time to travel for your health, it's time to travel to Cleveland Clinic. Your destination for care, for every care in the world. To learn more, visit clevelandclinic.org/Caribbean.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. I represent Bahamian people. I from Nassau, Bahamas, big up Baytown, bro. Boy, I from Baytown, bro. Right between West and Augusta, where them two roads meet, they call it Wilkinson Street. Manners and respect was like a sign blank check. It seems the ones that come in after quick to disrespect. You see, this life in the ghetto never easy. So many.
We're back on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. I got a comment stating here, supporting the lady who just calling on the radio just now. This person is saying, using your hands still requires brains. Education makes you better at what you do. Calculating, wire, even plumbing. Every trade requires basic math skills. And yes, education. And we have to spice it up, put trades in the curricular system in the schools, okay? Because we see the kids of talent, they're on the park gambling. They're 13, 14, 15, staying on the parks. It's crazy. We got to be more responsible with our kids. And I like to say to parents-to-be, future moms and dads at the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, if you're in school and you're getting your education, plan before you have children. So if a guy just want to get in your pants just for sex, and he has no plans or no future to get you and him get married, or say we're going to try to get an apartment and then we're going to be there for 10 years and try to see how we're going to wake ourselves up in the next 10, 15 years to buy our own house for us to be able to have a better life together. And, you could say, you know what, we could have one child now, and then in the next 7, 8 years when the child reach 8 or 9 or 5 or whatever, and we doing good, and both of us have a regular income of over $1,000, probably we could decide to have a next child. You see what I'm saying? So we have to plan. I'm encouraging people out there. Those who want children, understand that children ain't just something that you want. It comes with a high price. It comes with support. It comes with education. It comes with teaching them morals, respect, teaching them manners, teaching them how to plan their future. So please plan, Don't just go and go in a relationship just because you love somebody. Loving somebody is one thing, but how far this person is going to carry you, he or she, plan. Just don't have these children, man. Just don't have these children, because just having children right now and just leaving them out here to struggle. And like the lady said, you still could try. All obstacles out here. You have poverty and crime and etc. But she's still saying that, get your education and still try. There's no knight or no white horses coming to you, okay? The Father tells you if you try, he'd assist. Okay, we have one more call. Go ahead, caller. You're on Inside the Inner City.
Good afternoon, School Jay,
Good night. I'm fine. Good night to you.
Yeah, School Jay, I ain't got much to say tonight, but only one thing. I mean, like listening to all these calls and everyone being so real and thing. I say, man, they take to all the way Friday. Like they say, the last dance is the best dance, but they say the last laugh is the best laugh. And in your instance, it seems like the last show is the best show, man. Because I mean, all weekend thing. I mean, it's like I ain't guessing, right?
Yeah.
But your show is so real, and people can call up and express themselves. I mean, not being to basically called to be derogatory to anybody or anything, but just express themselves. And I admire the way how you. I mean, I listened to you over the years, too, you know, because I mean, when you first started off, you was like you was trying to find where to go, but you know where you at now, man.
Yes, sir.
Like that, right?
Yes, sir.
And it's like. I mean, I know you ain't going to school to learn all this and all that. Got no degree and all these other things, highfalutin like that, right?
Yes, sir.
But let me tell you something. You're so real, right? And honestly, when it comes to truth, right? Truth will outshine any kind of intelligence.
Yes.
I'm talking about dogmatic nonsense that will just. I mean, like to say, well, you because you can, you will take all 3 hours and only give you what. Give the Scrooge one, but taking 3.
Yes, yeah.
You see what you're talking about? I mean, let me tell you something.
Yes, sir.
I mean, when you're in charge, you can do whatever you want to do, right?
Yes, sir.
But at the end of the day, I mean, the people, I mean, like, your boss and whoever, I mean, I just at the station, right? But I mean, it's like they got you on last, right? When you're supposed to be on first on Monday morning, talking the real talk and not be, I mean, like.
I understand.
Hello?
I listening.
Would be stuff is a diet of just gumbo and not it's like half a second for callers to call in. Texts are more important than calls, and everything is just it's like it's screened and it's like to me it's just like narcissism at its best. You see, I mean, it ain't cool. I mean, like, because you know, at the end of every day, all of us citizens, we may get on a high pedestal.
Yeah.
But one day comes, you got to come right down to the small man and live up with all us and things like that. But how you could feel knowing that you are in that kind of way and then allowing people to have their freedom of speech and even constitutionally be bound to hindrance of speech, like I'm talking about, not to be hindered in our speech.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? The Constitution guarantees that, you know.
Yes.
And for talk shows to feel like because you have the talk show and because well, you can hang up, you know. Public listen from the public. I mean, listening to it, it isn't good. It isn't cool because it only shows that ignorance because of the mere fact that no one knows it all. The public know more than every single. The general public knows more than. And I don't care which talk shows on the radio. The general public, there's more knowledge in the general public than one person that runs the talk show.
Yes.
Am I wrong or right?
You're right, because there's a combination of smart people out there with different different
views, man.
Yes.
And not because I understand, right? But I mean it's like so. I mean I understand, right? Because I mean normally I just don't get hang up on Scrooge, man. When they call in the station and thing, I've been calling the station over 20-some years, cold like that, right? And I mean like. It reached a level right now. I mean, personally, I call once in a while, right?
Yeah.
Like this station, right? But it reached a level where you listen, and you know the outcome of every caller would be depending on if the caller agrees with whatever the host is talking about. The host ain't supposed to be real dogmatically putting things out there, and then you know everything and insulting people.
No, that's not
every day insult people.
No,
and then come on the next day and brag about 9 years, 10 years now. 10 years insulting people, man, Scrooge, man.
Yeah.
Why do you think you them be like how they just see? If they can't express themselves, like the adults can't express themselves, what do you think about the children?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I mean, like, we just got to be decent towards each other, man. That's all I can say, man.
Yeah.
And all of us have a right to speak what we want to speak, as long as we are not defaming or insulting anybody. I mean, I'm talking about if you do something wrong now, expect us to talk about it.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Okay. But Scrooge, I go on because I'm of course you lose a good job, man. Because I mean, Scrooge, man.
No, man, you're talking good stuff, man.
Like the cars need to get shuffled again, more on the bottom need to go on the top, you see?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Because I mean, they give you the last. Yeah, show's supposed to be 3 hours, man.
Yes, sir. Probably
I hear you.
Yes, sir. I said probably these comments were getting there as a management, you know.
You ain't gonna listen to me. More people need to call in and say that. But Scrooge, honestly, man, you need to be on like through the week, you know, because I ain't telling you no lie, right? Guardian Radio got plenty show, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like a real shows like yours, man. That's like, you know what? this guy is just anything and anything, and this smart, like bully, and oh yeah, insulting people. That ain't cool.
No, see,
that ain't cool.
That's why I take on this personality. See, I use my personality coming off the streets, right, to see how I could be a change in the day and see how people could see. But look at this guy. He was on the streets. He was a gangster, but look how he conduct himself.
You real man. I mean, and what is going on? I mean, I tell you, Larry, when you come on this radio and you talking, I don't care who listening. Ain't no one can disagree with nothing what you saying because you're talking the truth.
Yeah, everyone said that.
Talking about.
Yes, sir.
Once you keeping it real and thing, and like some people didn't want to hear it, right? They turn the radio off, but you know what? When people want to know what the truth is, it's almost like setting up. I don't go to church. You see what I'm saying? But I mean, like the truth is the truth, right?
Yes, sir.
And when I get guided the truth, any place, any man that make you feel so good.
Yes.
I'm telling you, man.
Yes.
But in this country, look at me, be afraid of the truth. And when people talk the truth, make people get angry and things, huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But Security, like I say, man, your boss need to put you on the top, man. Take you from the back and put you in the front, man.
Thank you very much, man. You did a wonderful
man.
job. Thanks for the comment, man. Thanks for the good work too, man.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate it. You guys just make it happen for me, and that's what I do. I'm a truthful person. There's no one out there who know me personally. They know I'm truthful. That's why I last so long on the streets.
If you'd like to make a
because
call,
that's the person I talk truth. There's nothing I'm gonna say on this radio, or if I call it a Lyndon Pindle name, or if I call Perry Christian name, or if I call Hubert Ingham name, or Debbie Bartlett, or whoever name I call, I always tell the truth, regardless. Okay, we have one more call. Call, we can give you 2 minutes if you can make it real quick, please. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, Scrooge, how you doing?
I'm fine. Good night.
Yes, man. This brother Amos.
Amos.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Amos.
Good evening to everyone listening. You know, I heard President Joe Biden made a statement today. He said the rule of law matters in all democracies. And for those of us, the rule of law, being very brief, my brother, as relates, and what I have in my mind is the death of that young 13-year-old boy, the death of all the young men in our country, the proliferation of firearms on our streets, for how many governments, I'm not going to point no finger at no government and be disrespectful.
Yes.
This is a New Day government, and they're doing a hell of a job. The rule of law, the mechanism, process, institution, practice, or norm that supports the equality of all citizens before the law, secures a non-arbitrary form of government, and more generally prevents the arbitrary use of power. Arbitrariness is typical of various forms of despotism, absolutism, authoritarianism, and totalitarianism. Despotic governments include even highly institutionalized forms of rule in which the entity, at the apex of the power structure, such as a king, or in this case, prime ministers, or a junta, or a party committee, is capable of acting without the constraint of law when it wishes to do so. Now, I said that to say this, and I'll stop there. Law, all of us, according to the preamble, as a nation, as citizens of a nation, decided when we reach 18, whether you know it or not. Not knowing the law is no excuse to the law. That's your problem if you don't know the law. Now, at the end of the day, we all, as citizens of this nation, is called to respect the law of this land. And when any of us fail to do any of which I have said, the law and the brunt of the law must come down. If we don't want no guns on our street, make the penalty for guns, especially when you're brought guilty, heavy. 25, 30 years. You got to put the weight behind your word. No weight, no word. They ain't hear nothing. Okay, I don't pick up a gun. I'm 52. I thank Yahweh Elohim for sparing my life, and I'm seeing you running all the time. I'm going to cut this right here.
Yes, sir.
All I'm saying, my brother, thank you for allowing me to come on. My young brothers and sisters in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, young and old, rich and poor, let's together obey the law. Good evening.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to say to all the callers, you guys did a phenomenal job on the areas. The lady, she did a wonderful job. You know, someone sent a message say Duncombe was right. You know, I feel that a lot of the comments were right. And I just want you all to understand the age of 13. 13, we heard Scott, who's the sexual predator who was released from prison. If you listen to the interview earlier, you'll see where he went to prison and ended up in maximum security at the age of 13. Timothy Cole, same thing. Samuel Musi McKinney, same thing. But they come out of the community. But before they're 13, they were growing up in the community. So a lot of stuff went wrong in there. And the stuff that went wrong is the lack of opportunity. It's the lack of our government, who's supposed to provide the opportunity to make sure that we put the citizens in the right position to be successful in the country. Similar to how Lyndon achieved being the prime minister of the country and helped make multimillionaires in Sir Frankie Wilson, the late Bradley Roberts, and all of Dr. Bernard Nordich, and all of big multimillionaires, past and present. Some are deceased and some are still living. So we have to be able to use that same mind thinking now and be able to help uplift those in the inner city community so that we can be able to grow our children up in a better environment, not for us to be sitting on smoking dope with our sons and daughters, not to be mothers drinking and smoking with their daughters and having conversation while they still have young children in the house. So when you're going to say smoking is bad to your kid, they're going to say, well, you smoke and you same thing as drinking. You know how much kids are walking around right now at the age of 13, 14, 15, 16 drinking rum and smoking marijuana, and they don't have no respect for nobody, and they're in the road cursing, round their mother and their daddy, fighting their mother and daddy, and that's what goes on in our country. The other day, I saw on social media, I think it's Aaron Bailey School or one school, where an armed police officer was trying to apprehend a young 14-year-old boy. And some other students was there. And this 14-year-old or 15-year-old boy was showing blows at the police officer. The police officer had to get mad and yak out the service revolver and gave him a good pistol whipping, which he truly deserved. So what kind of upbringing did that kid who fighting a police officer? It comes down to parenting also. And see, that's the same thing I'm talking about now. Plan your future before you have these children, because you're going to bring these children in this world. Like me. My mom and dad, they ain't planned for me. Excuse my language, I'm going to say it. Far as I can say, all it was I think my mom and dad, they had no plans for me. All I think I was just a mistake that they was having fun. Their boyfriend and girlfriend probably just met. They just decided to go do hanky-panky and make a child. But they had no future plans for me. And that messed my life up. And probably that took me on the wrong path, because if my father was there for me when I was young, I wouldn't be in the streets late at night. I wouldn't have been dealing with drugs. I wouldn't have been organizing gang activity. Always thinking folly. We have to plan. You know, we have to teach us in school, to the young girls and the young boys in school, the plan that you're going to school to have an education. And that before you decide to have children, think about the consequences. You know, children slow you down. You're down in poverty. So if you finish the 12th grade and you think about having a child, Wait till you get a stable job. Make sure that you can be able to pay your rent or you can rent to own, and that your partner, your boyfriend, you all are working together, to build a strong family life in this country. Okay, you just can't be having children. And like I say, I think my parents, they ain't planned for me. Okay? I never got hugged for my mom. I never got hugged for my daddy. I never got dropped to school for my mom. Neither my daddy. My mom passed away a few years ago. She changed her life around. She became a great person, and I was happy for her. But the days, we having too much unwanted children in this country, and they stagnated, and they don't have the right guidance. And like I said, 13-year-old got killed by a 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old. Where did they get the gun from? Huh? This is in the community. No one is telling you go get a gun, and go shoot somebody, It's just the mindset of our youths. If you get them mad, the only thing they're going to think is violence in this country. Oh, it's crazy. We getting ready to close out. So I just want to say this. Plan for your future. Plan for your child. All right? Just don't have sex. Don't go to the nightclub just to go look for boyfriend and because he checking when gal, you won't go sleep with him just to get spite at her. And then you won't have a child for him just to spite her because he have 2 child for her. So if you have a child for him, just could bring him to you or vice versa, the same thing with the female. That is not the way to be. That is not the way to be. When you have these children are a great responsibility. All right? And our government is going to invest more in the inner city community with housing like they're doing now. I'm looking to see if we can get BTVY VI in my community in Grandstand. We're in the new community center of Lenahan. And I'm encouraging those who live in the Lewis Street, the Hay Street, and the Mason Edition area, and a little further to Blue Hill Road. When the new state-of-the-art centers built, please bring your kids. There'll be many scholarships given out. There'll be many programs given out. There'll be starting small businesses with this community center. All right? And this is all for the kids and the grown-ups in our community to provide them an opportunity so they can have a better education, a better life, and something that is provided for them by a group of people from Lenahan, Bahamas, who want to make their life a lot better. So I'm encouraging people who live in the area, follow up on Lenahan. If your kid is not registered into any programs, we will be having a brand new 3-story state-of-the-art community center. We'll be giving them scholarships. So get your kids registered if you live in Lewis Street, Taylor Street, and Hay Street area, or Mason Edition, or Baintown. The opportunity is out there for you. Get your kids registered. There's a lot of opportunities going to be available with the brand new Lenahan Community Center on Lewis Street. And like I said, 13 years of age is like, that is where our youths go wrong. So we have to provide a better opportunity for our kids. And we need a lot of leaders, again, to step up in the country, in your respective community. All right? Don't just let the kids roam around the streets. And to the police officers, when you're patrolling your patrol car, you're seeing these kids, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old, on the side of the road or in the parks or walk in the streets or go into the store. Officers, stop your car and send them home. All right? Stop your patrol car and send them home because these kids now are just doing what they want to do on these streets. And parents, you're leaving your daughters out around 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock. Your daughters, your 13-year-old daughters, your 12-year-old daughters, your 14-year-old daughters. What do you think they're doing? Parents, look for your children. Set some type of rules and regulation that you got to be in the house. If you're in school, you got to be in the house 7:30, 8 o'clock. Any later, you're on your own. All right? Take responsibility. Your kids are not your friends. Parents, stop drinking with your kids. Stop smoking with your kids, okay? Talk with your kids. Show them love. All right? Your kids are not your friend. Don't be afraid to punish your kid. All right? I see all these kids talking back to their parents. So what you think they're going to do to me and you? All right? Okay? So I hope you all enjoy the show. And for all the callers and listeners, I just, this is like my heart, man, Because I see it's no ending. It's just murder over and over and over, starving to the school, same thing, shooting on public parks, and we need to put security officers on the park a certain time and just allow the kids to be in the park for a certain time, then we lock the park. The minister's saying now they want to put some cameras on the park. That'd be good, but also you need security officers on the park too. All right? So I hope you enjoyed the show. For the rest of you, I'll see you next week on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. I'm your host, Valentino Brown, a.k.a. Scoochie Scrooge. I'll see you next week on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM.
Don't take no back talk, no bribe or no joke. If you find fire, you definitely find smoke. Beat on, bro. Boy, I from Beat on, bro.